My job is really taking a toll on me, so much that I actually booked an appointment to get professional help. This is gonna be a long post. I just really need to let it all out. And also, English is not my first language, so please bear with me. I'm a newbie nurse working at a private hospital in Caloocan City, Philippines. I know we all reach that point where work gets really hard, and I know it's totally normal to feel that way. I mean, who really wants to work anyway? Ha ha. But I don't think it has to reach to this point where I would need professional help. Anyway, here's what's been happening. I've noticed some changes in myself these past few weeks. I've been getting way more emotional when it comes to work. I'd break down before my shift, after work, and sometimes even while at work. I'd go to the restroom just to cry. I'm not really the type to open up, but lately, I've been reaching out to close friends because I honestly don't know what to do with what I'm feeling at the moment. It even got to the point where I vented to my mom, telling her how I'm really struggling and that I feel like I'm getting depressed because of work. I've always considered myself more of a homebody, not someone who likes going out, but recently I've been asking friends to hang out on my days off, or I'd tag along with my mom on her errands, just so I don't have to stay home. Being at home feels too quiet and it makes me overthink even more. That's so new to me, because I used to love being alone, especially at home. But now, I hate the feeling of being alone. It makes me feel like I'm going crazy. I'm really at my lowest, and people around me are starting to notice too. I've had coworkers ask me if I'm okay because they say my vibe feels different. One time, a friend messaged me out of the blue asking if I'd been crying or if something was wrong. She saw a photo of me with friends and said my eyes looked so sad even though I was smiling. When it comes to skills and my coworkers, everything's good. All my senior nurses are kind and patient. They're the ones who taught me everything I know now. They've been really helpful when I had questions, and I know for sure that my skills aren't the issue. I don't get complaints during evaluations. In fact, they even said that I'm a fast learner and they trust me to handle things on my own. I've never made any serious errors or gotten any incident report. The main problem is the company itself. It's their expectations and their complete lack of empathy for their staff. Like one time, I had to stay 2 hours overtime because of a sudden direct admission right at the end of my shift, plus a hypotensive patient, BP was 80/40, another patient in the middle of a blood transfusion who suddenly had chills, and a pedia patient who was super agitated and at risk of seizures. After all that, I was told my OT wasn't valid because the nurse-to-patient ratio was still okay. Our hospital has a 1:8 nurse-to-patient ratio, and the census wasn't that high. That's just one of the many OTs I wasn't allowed to file because of the same reason. And just recently, they even cut 30 minutes from my 1 hour and 30 minutes OT pay, saying it might get questioned. Imagine, just 30 minutes and they still wouldn't give it. And that's just a few of the things we go through. To give you an idea of how bad it is, more than 10 employees submitted resignation letters just this June alone. I know one of the easiest solutions is to quit, but it's not that simple. First of all, I'm a newbie. A lot of places are looking for nurses with experience, and it's not that easy to find a new job right away. Another reason is the salary. It is actually higher than what a lot of other hospitals offer. I don't come from a well-off family, so this kind of salary really means a lot to me. But sometimes I find myself asking, is it still worth it if it's at the cost of my mental health? So now here I am, booked a session for psychiatric help because I just haven't been feeling like myself lately. I don't recognize myself anymore. But honestly, I'm still hesitating. I'm scared of what might happen or what I would find out about myself during this session. Let me analyze this story for you. The story opens with a gentle self-effacement. The writer prefaces their post by warning that it's long and apologizes for any language mistakes, which immediately establishes a voice of vulnerability and humility. This tone, open, but a little guarded, mirrors the emotional state the narrator is in. They're reaching out for support, but cautiously. The act of sharing such a personal struggle online, anonymously, speaks to how isolated they must feel in real life. This framing signals to the reader, I need help, but I don't know where else to put this pain. From the very beginning, the emotional stakes feel incredibly human. As the narrative continues, the writer describes their context, a newbie nurse at a private hospital in Caloocan, Philippines. This detail matters. It tells us that the stress isn't just personal, but structural. The healthcare system in many countries puts impossible pressure on nurses, and here we have someone just starting out, already being ground down by the emotional and physical demands of a job that is supposed to be about care. The irony is cutting. The job of healing others is making this person sick. And yet, the narrator almost minimizes their distress by joking, who really wants to work anyway? Haha, a self-protective bit of humor meant to lighten the dark emotional truth. This job is breaking me. What follows is perhaps the most emotionally raw part of the story, the descriptions of crying before, during, and after work. This is not just burnout, it's psychological distress. The narrator acknowledges that they've changed, and they don't like the change. The quiet dignity of those restroom cries is particularly affecting. They're not storming out or making a scene, they're stepping away, hiding their pain, trying to hold it together. Even more heartbreaking is the shift in how they relate to solitude. Once a comfort, being alone now feels dangerous, like it might unlock a flood of thoughts they can't handle. This inversion speaks volumes about the severity of their emotional state. When silence becomes your enemy, something has deeply shifted inside you. The reaction of the people around them, friends who notice sadness in their eyes, co-workers sensing a different vibe, is poignant. It underscores that the narrator is not imagining their suffering. It's visible. It's bleeding out into the social fabric around them. And yet, even with these red flags waving clearly, the narrator still doubts themselves, still wonders if they're overreacting. This is such a painful hallmark of mental health struggles, the constant gaslighting of the self. You feel terrible, but you question whether you're allowed to feel terrible. Next, the narrator shifts to the one part of the job that isn't making them miserable, the work itself. They make it clear that they're competent, supported, and respected by their peers and seniors. This is a crucial point. So many stories of job-related burnout focus on interpersonal conflict or incompetence, but not here. The emotional pain isn't coming from failure, it's coming from a system that dehumanizes even its best workers. That distinction adds moral weight to the story. The narrator isn't weak, unqualified, or unlucky. They're simply caught in a toxic, uncaring structure. The emotional climax of the story comes in the retelling of the overtime experience, multiple critical patients, 2 hours of extended work, only to be told their labor was invalid, not worthy of compensation. This is the heart of the conflict, the absolute erasure of humanity in the name of bureaucracy. The logic is maddening. Even after giving extra time and emotional energy in a crisis, the company decides their suffering doesn't count because ratios were okay. It's one of those moments that makes you want to scream on the narrator's behalf. And what's worse, it's clearly a pattern, one of many indignities that employees are just expected to swallow. Despite the pain, the narrator doesn't present quitting as an easy solution. They offer a rational, grounded explanation for staying. They're new, they need experience, and this job pays better than others. This is the trap so many workers, especially in under-resourced professions like nursing, face. The story isn't just about burnout, it's about economic entrapment. The narrator knows the job is harming them, but also knows they need it. And in that impossible space between needing to survive and needing to feel sane, something inside them is breaking. The final paragraphs are perhaps the most emotionally impactful. The narrator has booked a session for psychiatric help, a huge, brave step. But instead of feeling relief, they feel fear. What if they learn something they don't want to know about themselves? This fear of diagnosis, of facing the full truth of their condition, is incredibly relatable. There's strength in the act of reaching out, but also dread. The story closes not with resolution, but with an emotional cliffhanger. They've taken the first step, but they don't yet trust the ground beneath them. In summary, this post is a quietly devastating portrait of burnout, alienation, and survival in a hostile work environment. It offers no neat ending, no moral, no dramatic twist. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's real. It captures the slow erosion of identity that can happen when your labor is exploited, your pain is minimized, and your coping mechanisms begin to fail. The narrator's voice is honest, exhausted, self-aware, and brave. And by sharing their story, they do more than vent, they shine a light on what so many others are silently enduring.